All right, so I'm here today with the CIO of IDG International, Mr. Bob Carrigan. Welcome to Stockholm.
Thank you very much.
Did you have a good stay?
It's great. Love coming to Stockholm. Very welcoming and just such an interesting city. Love it here.
So if you compare IDG Sweden to our international colleagues, what do you think is different here?
Well, it is very unique in terms of the market share of this business unit. It's probably the highest of certainly of any of our European countries. And so when you look at the breadth of products that's also offered here, there's a lot going on. And there's some unique things we do here, in the environmental space, the biotech space, internet world, things that we don't do in other markets, so that's also unique. And just, the sheer size of this business unit relative to the total population, it's impressive, the results and the productivity of the team here.
Do you have any idea of why that is? Why is the Swedish market so different?
Well, I just think the heritage here there's been a lot of entrepreneurial leadership, and the management team is very entrepreneurial. So I don't know that it's so much about Sweden, although Sweden is a hotbed for internet activity and startups and launches, and it's a very progressive market on many levels in terms of design and the mobile space. So it is an experimental market, I think. It's on the leading edge, but I think also the leadership here has been quite entrepreneurial and has been pretty aggressive about pursuing new areas of opportunity.
Wow. So I'd like to hear some of your thoughts about the online media landscape and where it's headed. What do you think are some of the trends that we will notice soon?
Well, the online business, continues to grow. We're certainly seeing more and more users in this direction. As a publisher, we're embracing now not just the conventional web, but the mobile web, and we have to think about a multi-screen world, where users are experiencing content through small form factor devices and their desktop, and we need to have strategies that consider the whole user experience and how we can serve those users in the optimal way, optimize for that device. That's the real challenge now of online. Just when we tackled the conventional web, PC-based or desktop web, now we've got to deal with, the new challenge and opportunity that comes with the mobile web.
So do you think 2013 will be the year of the paywall for media?
The year of the paywall, well, paywall or metering, or there's variations of that theme. I think, what comes hand in hand with mobile is the opportunity to offer another way for users to get good content, and then to improve the value package we offer to users, and then have them authenticate into a larger subscription relationship with us, whether they have access to exclusive areas on our website, they get maybe the print magazine, they get, we're applicable, and then they get certain mobile web access. I think, there's a bigger chance to drive subscription revenue, with these newer digital products, because they've got commerce built in, they're more personal, and I think, for sure, it represents a greater opportunity for that than just the open web.
So do you think that this will change now, that readers will provide a larger part of our revenue than they've done so far if you look at the online market?
Well, I think it'll certainly grow. I mean, we're already seeing, because of so many of the channels now that users can buy digital content, we're already seeing, huge money, being spent on digital content, whether it's in music or entertainment, and then, professional content as well. So it's already starting. So I do think that user revenue as a percentage of total digital revenue, will increase. I also think the ad revenue will also increase.
Do you think that magazines were too generous when they first became digital, that they, gave away all their content for free?
Well, in hindsight, probably, yes. Okay, so, but, the ad market was so robust, and the idea of making all the inventory available to increase page views for selling advertising was the predominant business strategy, okay? And so, and also on the web, for some reason, there weren't a lot of easy mechanisms developed in the early days for charging users for content, And so, again, I get back to the point about the mobile web, where you've got a lot of built-in storefronts and ways to charge users. And so the mobile web is a little less open than the conventional web. And so I think it lends itself more to a smarter strategy for publishers.
So do you think that the print magazine will survive?
Well, I think there'll be print magazines for as far as the eye can see. I mean, readers appreciate print. What I do think is you'll have readers paying more. You'll have smaller subscription bases paying more money, because the reality is that they're going to be spending, and they're already spending more of their time on digital consumption of content. But they're still passionate audiences that love to see print and appreciate print. I think I can't make a prediction there, but I can see that we'll be charging more and more over time for a more exclusive audience.
So could you tell us a little bit about your work with IAB?
Well, I've been on the IAB board now for, I think, 5 or 6 years, and I served as chairman 1 year, which was great. I'm on the executive committee of the IAB, so I'm very involved with the IAB. I'm very proud to be a part of it. The IAB is a very progressive organization.
What does it stand for?
Oh, the Interactive Advertising Bureau, yes. And obviously that's the predominant revenue stream, as we just discussed, on the web, so it's really, the issues are more far-reaching than just advertising, because advertising is what fuels the growth of the web and all the great content and everything that comes from that. So, there's so many important initiatives that the IAB is involved with, and just from a personal level, and actually for an IDG level, it's been very educational to be so involved with some of the companies that are doing some of the most progressive things. And I love going to the meetings and hearing and learning from others in the industry. It helps to break out, and look at other models and other categories. And many of our employees have participate in the committees and councils of the IAB. They go to the IAB events. They're getting the salespeople are. We now make it mandatory in the U.S. for all of our salespeople to go through the IAB sales certification process. So we're very involved as a company with IAB, and I think it helps raise our abilities and just expands horizons, for us as we think about new ways of approaching the digital business.
So if you were to give some advice to a company, not necessarily a media company, on how to succeed in communicating in this modern marketing landscape that we have, the online landscape, what would that be?
Well, look, the more things change, the more things stay the same, is the old saying, right? It still comes down to the fundamentals of providing great quality, trustworthy content, for users. And, you have to be very experimental in how you communicate. You have to use all the modern tools, and there's so many wonderful tools to syndicate content, to talk to audiences, through the social web, through mobile, through all these new channels. So you have to embrace it. You can't be afraid of it. You have to be experimental and go out there and try to delight audiences through all these channels. And don't just think about everybody coming to your site. Think about how do you reach them. And in that, you'll find new audiences, new ways to engage and grow the business.
Right. So if I asked you to take a look 10 years ahead into the future, what do you think about the media landscape then?
Well, I think it's very exciting. Obviously, it's hard to answer that question because the media business really evolves very quickly. And I think there'll be many new ways that information will be transferred through wearable devices and new form factors we can't even contemplate, and new ad models. I think that there'll be more and more precision in terms of how marketers target, and we'll be using much more data and analytics and figuring out how to deliver highly customized services and information to users. I know it feels like that's inevitable. The question is, how will that exactly be delivered, whether it's through a screen on your refrigerator, goggles you're wearing, or through some other mechanism. Hard to tell.
Maybe we haven't seen that technology yet. It might show up. And if you look at society, just the broader society in 10 years, do you have any predictions?
Well, we believe at IDG that information technology helps improve quality of life and helps break down societal barriers and helps to connect people in new ways, create new ways to communicate and do business transactions. So I think the world will become smaller and will become, a better. I think the quality of life will be improved through technology and tapping into the wisdom of the crowds that can be reached through technology and faraway shores can only be a good thing. And it's going to be hard for those that are doing bad things to their populations, civil rights violations. It'll be hard for those things to stay hidden. And I think that we're already seeing this, right? We're seeing Twitter and such being used in protest movements, and we're seeing social media being used as a way to organize people and give them a voice against injustice. And I think you'll see more and more of that. So I think in terms of, connectivity, commerce, quality of life, education, I think people will be able to do distance learning in new ways. And I think it's very exciting, and I'm very bullish on the future, and technology will play a big role in that for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.